Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to revise our history chapter 2nd, the regional kingdoms of 8th century. Dear students, in this chapter we will discuss about the regional kingdoms, whatever kingdoms was on that time in 8th century in India. Dear students, all that kingdoms is divided into three parts: North India, the Deccan and South India. Dear student, if we talk about North India, then there was many powerful rulers and many powerful kingdoms are there. The Rajputas, the Gauri, the Palas and the Gurjar Pratiharas. Dear student, at first we start with the Rajputas. As you know, the word Rajput has been taken from the Sanskrit word Rajputra, meaning the son of the king. Means they are saying like that they are of the son of the king, but many are saying like that they are Suryavanshi, many are saying like that they are Chandravanshi, but not a perfect thing about that be clear where they belong from. Rajput class also consider themselves to be a part of fire family. Many Rajputs saying like that they are belong to Agnikul or something like that. In this Rajput rulers, we can say that Gahadwala of Kannauj and Chandelas of Bundelkhand and many Rajput rulers are also there on that time. Dear students, after that the Ghazanvid also came to India for rule. In the 10th century, a Turkish conqueror captured Ghazni, now in Afghanistan, and founded the Ghazanvid dynasty. On that time, Sultan Mahmud was the powerful ruler of the dynasty. We can say that Sultan Mahmud was the very powerful ruler on that time because he annexed many kingdoms in India and started to capture all over the Asia. After that, Mahmud Ghazni needed a large army to make Ghazni the most powerful kingdom in the region, because Mahmud Ghazni wanted to make his region very powerful, and for that he want large army, and he didn't have on that large army, and for large army he want large of wealth also. So he decided to raid India to collect money to raise a large army. So he decided for raid to India, means he want to loot India, and after that robbing he want to collect all that wealth and he will make the army strong. Mahmud of Ghazni attacked India 17 times between 1080 to 1026 AD. Dear students, we can say that Mahmud Ghazni attacked 17 times from 1080 to 1026 AD. His early raids were against the Hindu rulers of the Punjab. He defeated Jayapala and Anandpal and got a large tribute from them. He also attacked the rich temple towns of India. He didn't leave the temples of India also. Many beautiful temples, many rich temples also raided by him. One of the most example of this temple is Somnath temple in Gujarat. That temple was also captured by him in 1018 AD and in Somnath in 1026. He raided Mathura in 1018 and Somnath in 1026. And even these precious stones embedded in the temple wall were broken, taken out. Mahmud carried away all the booty of Ghazni, where they built a beautiful mosque. Whatever he built, root from them, after he started to use to making mosques, palaces, libraries and many much more things made by him. After that the Ghor was another small kingdom in present-day Afghanistan. Mahmud Ghazni had also captured this kingdom and made its ruler by his vassal. After Mahmud's death, the Ghazanvids became weak. Taking advantage of this, Mujahideen Muhammad made Ghor independent once again. He also annexed all Ghazanvid territories because he know that now Ghazanvids are weak. So he started to capturing the Ghazanvid territory and Ghazanvid dynasties. And Mujahideen Muhammad is popularly known as the history is the Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori and Mujahideen Muhammad both are one person only. Muhammad Ghori also known on that time as the name of the Mujahideen Muhammad. Muhammad Ghori was an ambitious ruler of the Ghor dynasty and decided to attack India not only for wealth but for establishing his an empire in India, because he want to capture all over the Asia, not only India, all over the Asia he want to capture. For that he started to attack the India because he know that India had lot of wealth and he know that if he loot or robbed India, then he can get a large wealth, and because of that he can make his large army, and after that he started to annex the another kingdoms and territories. The Battle of Tarai. The armies of Muhammad Ghori and Prithviraj Chauhan clashed at Tarai about 80 miles from Delhi. Means Tarai is a place which is far from 80 miles from Delhi. On that place, Muhammad Ghori's and Prithviraj Chauhan's army clashed on that place, and finally on that war, Muhammad Ghori defeated very badly by Prithviraj Chauhan. But on that time also Muhammad Ghori didn't stop for war or something, and he decided to capture or defeat the Prithviraj Chauhan anyhow in any condition, because he want to annex all that part, all that kingdoms of the Prithviraj Chauhan, and he know that Prithviraj Chauhan is a powerful ruler, and he know all that things. If he didn't have a large army, then he didn't annex the Chauhan kingdoms, and he couldn't defeat the Prithviraj Chauhan. So again in 1192 he clashed with Prithviraj Chauhan's army. On that time Prithviraj Chauhan didn't ready for the war, but suddenly he start to battle with Prithviraj Chauhan, and Prithviraj Chauhan appealed to neighboring kingdoms and kings for the help, but some Rajput rulers came to his help and some didn't come, and because of this advantage Muhammad Ghori won that war, and finally Prithviraj Chauhan defeated and captured in the second war of the Tarai. After that, the tripartite struggle, dear student, we can say that the tripartite struggle's main cause is the Kannauj, because Kannauj was an important city in North India. Its location was such at the whoever held Kannauj could control the resources like minerals, agriculture, trade, and entire Ganga Valley since the 8th century. Dear student, tripartite struggle fought between the Palas, Gurjar Pratiharas, and Rashtrakuta. There are three kingdoms, so it is known as tripartite. Tri means tri, ta means three. So is the struggle is known as the tripartite struggle. After that, dear students, we will talk about the Palas. The Pala dynasty was founded by Gopala, and after his son Dhanampala succeeded by him, and his capital was at the Patliputra. Devpala was another powerful ruler of this dynasty. After that, we will talk about the Gurjar Pratiharas. Certain parts of present-day states of Rajasthan and Gujarat were under the control of Gurjar Pratihara. Certain part of Gujarat and Rajasthan on that time captured by the or ruled by the Gurjar Pratihara, and the most powerful ruler was the Bhoja, and he made Kannauj his capital, and he was succeeded by the Mahendrapala. After that, the Deccan region refers to the area located between the Narmada and the Krishna river. Whichever area located between the Narmada and Krishna river, that region is known as the Deccan. First kingdom is there, Rashtrakuta. Dantidurga led the foundation of the Rashtrakuta dynasty in AD 753, defeating the Chalukyas of Badami. And the Rashtrakutas fought against the Palas and Gurjar Pratiharas in the north, and towards the south they clashed with the Pallavas. We can say that Rashtrakuta fought many war and many battle with the kings and kingdoms, and finally he proved that it was a powerful kingdoms, and it was a powerful ruler and all that ruling kings. The Rashtrakuta kings patronized of great art and architecture and literature. We can say that Rashtrakuta was a great patronist of the art and literature. It is the example of that thing we can watch from the temple, Kailash temple at Ellora, and rock-cut Elephanta caves are carved during that region of the Rashtrakutas. We can watch that till now, that all the things are present. You can watch the temple, Kailash temple at Ellora, and rock-cut Elephanta caves are now also present. The rulers also encouraged the growth of the regional languages, and especially Kannada. On that time they focused the language Kannada. Other kingdoms, many other kingdoms are also there on that time, like Yadavas of Devagiri. Vilema founded the Yadava kingdom in 12th century. Chalukyas of Kalyani. The Chalukyas of Kalyani were also known as the later of Chalukyas or Western Chalukyas. Dear students, we know that Chalukyas of Kalyani have the different name also. The Chalukyas of Western and the later Chalukyas also. And the greatest ruler of this dynasty was the Vikramanka. After that, Kakatyas of Warangal. The Kakatyas rule in the 12th and 13th centuries. Their kingdom may lay between the Godavari and the Krishna river. Whichever place between the Godavari and the Krishna river, that place is known as the Kakatyas of Warangal's kingdom. After that, Hoysalas of Draksamudra. The Hoysalas ruled the region covered by present-day Karnataka, and the most powerful king was Vishnuvardhana. the Vishnuvardhana was the powerful ruler on the Hoysala of Samudra. After that, we will talk about the South India, the Pallavas and the Pandyas. First, we talk about Pallavas. The Pallavas became very powerful in the 7th and 8th century. When Pallava was the very powerful ruler in the 7th and 8th century, their capital was the city of Kanchi. The Pallava rulers built many beautiful temples of stone. Many stone temples was made by the Pallavas in the 9th century, and the Cholas defeated the Pallavas and ended their rule. And finally, the Pandyas came to rule. The region around Madurai was governed by the Pandyas. Madurai was their capital. Which is the capital of the Pandya rulers? Madurai was the capital, and it was an important center of learning. Marco Polo visited the Pandya kingdom. He has left a detailed account of his visit. In Marco Polo, his travelogue, he written about all that Pandya's kingdom, the kingdom, and something like that. All whatever important information, all that thing is mentioned by the Marco Polo in his travelogue. Dear student, here the Cholas case study also given. We can say that Chola dynasty was also a powerful dynasty on that time. We can say that because many powerful rulers like Rajaraja Chola and Rajendra Chola also came to rule on that time, because their rule was too much big place. We can say that like till the Sri Lanka and the Maldives Islands also captured by them, and they have a great navy. Because of that, they ruled very powerfully on that time, and they take the means of the Ganga Kondi Chola and many another name also taken by them, and there was a great patronizing of the art and architecture, because we can say that the Brideshwar temple at Thanjavur and the Nataraj sculpture of the Lord Shiva is also made on that time. Dear students, it's all about the regional kingdoms of 8th century. We can say that it's divided into 3 parts: North India, the Deccan and South India. In North India, the Rajputs, the Gaur, the Palas, the Gurjar Pratiharas. The Deccan, the Rashtrakutas and other kingdoms. In other kingdoms, we can say that first one is Yadavas of Devagiri, second one is Chalukyas of Kalyani, Kakatiyas of Warangal and Hoysalas of Drav Samudras. And South India also divided into 2 parts, the Pallavas and the Pandyas. Dear students, now I will talk about your PT first MTP or paper pattern. Dear students, in your paper, there is first question is about tick the correct. Tick the correct. 5 questions are there, and that's about 2.5 marks, means 2.5. And second, filling the blanks. It's also about 5 questions is there, and about every question is about half mark. So it's about 2.5 mark also. And after that, short answer questions. It's about 4 questions. Each question carries 2 marks and about 8 marks. After that, long answer question. First, one question carries 3.5 marks, means 3.5. It's about 2, 10, total about 7 marks. Then 7 and 8, 15 and 5, 20. Total paper is about 20 marks. Dear students, in filling the blanks, if in this chapter filling the blanks are there, then also you have to learn if name the following, name the ruler, anything is also given, then also you have to learn all that things. Tick the correct is about 2.5 marks, 5 questions will be there. Filling the blanks is about 2.5 marks, 5 questions will be there. Each question carry half mark. Short answer question, there will be 4 questions, each question carry 2 marks, it's about 8 marks. And long answer question, 2 questions are there, each question carries 3.5 marks, it's about 7 marks, and totally about 20 marks. Thank you dear.